Our own NBC News correspondent Mike Taibbi has made his way down to Manhattan's west side and the Hudson River. Mike, what are you seeing from where you are?
Well, Brian, we got down to where the plane came down in the Hudson, right about middle of Manhattan Island, opposite the Intrepid. But the current, because the plane was still floating and had not been submerged at all, carried the plane and continues to carry the plane south in the Hudson, past what's known here as the Chelsea Piers toward the tip of Manhattan. Now, it's still about 5 miles across the Hudson over here, but the plane is still heading down south. We're seeing a number of helicopters following the route of that plane, and we're doing the same thing so we can throw up an antenna on our live truck and get on live as soon as we can. I'm looking out on the river now. I see police boats also following the probable route of this aircraft as it continues to float. And as you pointed out before, this landed and did not degrade to the point where water swamped the fuselage itself and sunk it. It continued to float and continues to float.
Yeah, Mike, it's actually a blessing and a curse. The blessing was that it stayed together. That saves lives. It gave people some structure to walk out on in terms of the wings. But now it's a large vessel that is probably taking on water and sinking, weighs a lot anyway, and is impossible to stop without inflicting damage. It would be nice to think that they're not fighting its drift because they've got everybody accounted for.
I would think so. And Brian, I'm a sailor, and I know that in these kinds of waters, in frigid temperature, the body without protection could only last about 5 minutes before fatal hypothermia kicks in. I mean, that's really a concern, obviously, for rescue workers. Now, they came alongside right away, as we all saw from that first shot that was thrown up, with inflatable rescue boats and police boats, and it's right near the New York Waterways dock where all those boats are there. So there was plenty of help on the scene before the plane began to take on water, if in fact it did take on water, and that forward port hatch was open. And since there were reports that people were off the plane, taken off the plane, one assumes at this point that there are survivors, and there are plenty of survivors. We just don't know who might still be on the plane, if anybody, at this stage.
Our local Channel 4 is running a new angle of this we haven't seen right now, and that is early on in the pictures, the fuselage up against an FDNY, the fireboat hull and the police boat hull, and you can clearly see the front door of the aircraft was popped, and again the aircraft has stayed up in the water without sinking. The whole flotilla going slowly southbound down the river. If you're familiar with New York, that starts, there it is, there's the picture I was talking about, starts at the GW Bridge to the north and goes south. Some of this is videotape that was taken from the first camera crews to respond, but look at that motion. That's 2-3 knots moving down river, and all the boats timing their throttles to move along with it. We have to hope that all souls on board were taken off and that everybody's okay here, again, because those waters are no place to be.